Hello, everybody, and welcome to my podcast. I am your host, Shannan Mondor. Today's episode is a continuation of my series, You Are Not the Only One. I was brought forth to do this series because during my healing from my addiction to alcohol, there were so many times that the universe had brought me to silence. And it was during those times was when I learned so many things about myself, and I was guided. I was guided to talk openly about my past, my abuse, my addiction, and to speak my truth. From those moments of silence is when we learn, we grow, and then we teach and help others. Today, I have a very special guest. Her name is Lisa Berry, who is here to share her story. So welcome, Lisa. How are you?
I'm wonderful. Thank you so much. I am so happy to be a part of your series. I read your story when the email came through and I went, oh, it was just the timing, when things like, oh, this is familiar and this is important and I need to do this. So thank you so much. Thank you.
I'm so glad that you're here. And it's so true. Like divine timing it's all divine timing, is it not?
It is. Yes. And you can feel it. It's like magical. It kind of goes,
Yeah.
it like a lock and key. Whoop,
I got
there
chills.
it is.
Yeah, I got chills. Yeah, for sure. For sure. So Lisa, let's get right into this. So what brought you to your time of stillness?
That is I'm in love with that word right now, especially because I am containing myself a little bit, but I'm a very energizer, explosive person. And that can be great and helpful and launch you into doing things, but it can also be a bit spinny. So when I was speaking with you before, I thought, oh my gosh, I think that's what it feels like. It's from spinning to stillness. And one thing I was thinking about this morning was that stillness, if I was still in my spinny mode and everything, if somebody would try to tell me you just need stillness or be still, I'd be like, what are it would make me want to resist it even more. So I wanted to share that there's something about the word stillness doesn't mean staying still. It means a point of comfort and safety and not quietness.
Focus is huge. Focus is huge.
Yes, it's this focus. It's very grounded so stillness to me really means something quite different. It means maybe those crazy random thoughts are just having a focus point, being able to, and it's grounded in love. It's not grounded in pushing down and being forced and held down. It's being grounded in, let's bring attention to what is possibly this chaotic energy or this movement that needs to be expressed. I read somewhere a little while ago, I love this, that agitation needs to be expressed. And so when we're spinning for a reason. Like we're not spinning just because it can be out of love and beauty and all that, but it also can be, there's just so much going on and we want to express ourselves in a certain way and we don't know how is best aligned yet. So we're spinning until we find it, right?
And I love that you're expressing your perspective of what stillness means to you, because there's probably a lot, well, not probably, I know there is other people out there that are totally resonating with what you're saying. And they're like, yes, Lisa is so true. Like, this is how I feel. This is how I interpret stillness to be. So thank you for sharing that.
Oh, you're
Because
welcome.
that gave me a totally different perspective too. And I'm like, yeah, you go, girl. Like, excellent.
What's so tricky is that in where I am now, I actually look forward to being aware of or pinpointing what, as opposed to what I love as well, but what resistance comes up to something. And so with me, there's a couple words, just like everybody, I'm sure, if they don't want to be told to be quiet, let's say, or to, just grin and bear it, or push through, or use your willpower, or break through, or all these different words and terms that there's an emotion that's evoked with them and a response. So if we can see what reaction we're having, a response we're having, and just say, wow, there's a lot of resistance around that one. How can I approach that with love and be honest with myself about it? Like I don't like that word. I'd hate that word when I was little, like be still. What?
Yeah. So, well, because that was drilled into us, like, from little and then right until, all through our school years.
Yes, exactly.
We're told to be still. And then they want us to express ourselves only when we're told that we're supposed to express ourselves. So there's such a contradiction. So no wonder so many of us grew up so confused. Right?
Exactly. Yes.
You express yourself when I tell you to express yourself, even though you're not ready to express yourself because the timing's off, but you do it anyway, which is
Yes.
so true, right?
And not ready is in what I hear in that word, means not safe. And so, if you think
Absolutely.
about all the times you're just like, I'm not ready yet. If we dive into that with some, I don't feel safe enough yet to express myself, or to just, I don't feel safe. I'm not safe to do this. Something is not going to be right for me. And so that's where we want to kind of sit with. And I think that when I was listening to your journey and stuff, like there's different, we can all hit a time in our lives, an event that happens, circumstances that we're just not ready for. We're not safe around it. And then we have all this other, do this, express yourself, sit down, be still, blah, 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 get more in it, like all these things. And you're trying to find that momentum that you can like fit into where you feel good. And that can lead us to any kind of addiction. It can lead us to any kind of behavior, how we treat ourselves. But if we try not to just, force it, like restrain it, suppress it, all those things, if we actually come at it with love and really look at it with like, and see, how can I open my heart? How can I soften my heart? Maybe you're not even ready to open your heart. Be like, all right, okay, I can soften a little bit.
Right. Right. Yeah, absolutely. And, just by you saying that, like because now I am in that safe area in my life, right? Because I know who I am, I'm very comfortable. But I can tell you probably the hardest that I see now with all the transitions, me elevating, me releasing people, I would have to say that this past year has probably been, I'm going to tear up here.
Oh,
Has probably been the most emotional time that I've ever had, but at the same time, the most growth. And I look where I am now, and I just think, wow, for the fact that the pressures that have been on me and my emotional state up and down, if this would have been me even 5 years ago, I would have just been wine just totally consumed me.
oh.
And that all on its own is a huge feat.
Yes. And you know what? The grief. Grief, so many times we don't know how or what to do with grief. Like even now, like grief doesn't have to be this thing like you're stuck in grief. If you have tears right now, even you're respecting what you've been through. You're respecting those emotions. You're respecting where you are right now.
Oh, totally. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But that's what so many people just don't understand and
It's
they
hard.
just don't get, right? Like, to be where I am now, that takes so much strength and so much courage. And I think people kind of forget about that. They just look at her and they're like, wow, like look at her go or whatever. But they don't really realize the emotional impact that I had to literally change whole my whole entire world, my whole being of who I am. And that's huge because I hate to say it, there are not a lot of people that can actually do that.
No, and there's so much that goes with it that we just won't know until we look, or we have the guidance to show us. So when you say,
Yes.
um, I had to change my whole world, but if I may, and I'm
Yes.
not saying this is it,
Oh,
but
yes, absolutely.
what I see is that, we don't change our world. What we do is we start loving, we start to know ourselves. And then when we offer ourselves love, it just falls away. So
Yes.
yes, we have to do those things, but some people think, wow, I have to change my whole world. And that can be scary. If somebody told me right now, wow, if you really want this, you have to change your whole world, I'd be like, that's scary. I'm not doing that. But if
Yeah.
somebody would say, do you know that, as we get to know ourselves more and we learn how to, and then to love ourselves and have that understanding a relationship, you actually don't have to do that hard work of change. It just no longer fits. I would use the word devotion. You become devoted. Like, you're devoted, something just, what would what would be in your way? It's effortless. That change becomes something that you're devoted to. It just is easy. And then that hard work is not so hard. It
Yeah.
comes from a different place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And a really good analogy of that would be, so say for example, I'm a tree. I'm a tree with all these beautiful branches, right? And
Yeah.
all of the things from my past were these leaves. And as the season changes, I grow, I get stronger. And all of these things that aren't meant to make it to the next season with me, the leaves just fall off. Right. And that is a beautiful analogy. And that is exactly the transition that I have definitely taken.
Yes. And the tree's not upset. He's like, oh my
No,
gosh, look at all my
no,
leaves on the
no,
ground.
it becomes stronger and stronger and more durable with each season, right?
Yes.
You know,
And it's not, it's not even, it's not, I'm sad or happy. It's natural.
it's the state of being.
It's just a state of being. And in that state of being, there's no, yeah, I think that's what, I think when we look around and we think, I've got this addiction, I've got this challenge, and we judge it immediately like we've got to get rid of it because it's this bad thing, or I've done this bad thing and that's why I'm doing this thing. But it actually is your best solution at the time.
Mhm.
And that's the way to soften. That's your first step into softening. Like, you know what? If you can say, I'm in pain, or I'm scared, or I don't know how, or I just don't feel good in my body. You're looking this, if we can acknowledge that at first and say, yeah, because I'm in the middle of something. And so this is my best solution that I can come up with right now. And to say, but something's not right with that as well. It's actually harming me, or keeping me separated, or keeping me suppressed, or over expressing to the point of endangering your life and relationships. And so if that little crack, like little, okay, then now you're not being so hard on yourself, and there's a bit of wiggle room to add a little bit more love and a little bit more looking around and seeing where things are coming from. I've worked with so many people with food addiction, and I'm going to go with even chemical addiction, because a lot of the foods we get addicted to are
Oh,
not real foods. They're
yeah,
super chemical, super processed, super thing. And it's such as, I think many of the addictions they can feel so shameful. And they think, if I just got to stop eating it. I just got to stop buying it, stop eating it. I just got to stop it. And even that sounds so judgmental and harsh, and punishment.
yeah.
Even those words. So it's not just changing the language, because guess what? You can change the language all you want, but you're still going to hear, stop it. Don't do that. You're so stupid. You're going to hear all of those things. You can say all the affirmations around it as you want. You really have to have a feeling towards it. How you look at it comes from a different place.
Yes. And well, you have to realize what that dominant feeling is that you're stuck in when you're in that phase of your life. So you have to become aware of that. And the only way that you can be really aware of that is by really examining who you are, right? And then you pay attention to that dominant feeling. And then from that dominant feeling, that's how you can go about raising your vibration, which is also changing your thoughts, right? And yeah.
You said dominant feeling, so that was really fun, because I was going to use a word for that. So dominant feeling, okay, that's so exciting. So I would call that the present moment feeling, right? That's like what's happening now. So sometimes what we go to, okay, I'm going to do some meditation, some self-exploring, some self-inquiry, and they think, okay, I'm going to use that one right there. Say it's a feeling that you feel at a certain time, like, oh, whenever I go to the parties, everybody's drinking and I can't. So that's a feeling. But if you go in that moment of meditation to feel what you're feeling right then, and you're not feeling that feeling, the dominant feeling is actually something totally like random, like, oh, whoa, what? No, I'm not dealing with that feeling right now. Go right. And like, I want to deal with this one. Go with your dominant feel. What comes up for you in that moment? What is present then? Because that's actually, sometimes we can tell ourselves that, oh, I feel really uncomfortable when I go to parties because everybody's drinking, I'm not. That might just be a habit or a false assumption or a belief or something that you used to, but maybe you don't. Even maybe like, actually, I'm okay with it. But everybody's like, oh, this must be so hard for you, or so many, I remember when one of my friends was fasting, like this is 10-15 years ago, and we do this thing every year that's a fiesta week, and we go to the pavilions and try all these different cultures of foods from different cultures. And she was fasting that week, and I was like, how could you fast during our week? Like, I was like, what are you gonna do? She's like, I don't need to have the food. You can have the food. And I'm like, but that's no fun. And I was actually being a bully. Now that, I was thinking about this in my years since then. And she's like, I'm love being here. It's not hard for me at all. And she goes, it's not hard for me at all. And I was like, God, that'd be so hard for me. So I'm pushing my view. Like, I can't imagine that feeling, at that time, and all those things. So that's why when you said dominant feeling, it's like, who's really feel the dominant feeling? Whose feeling is coming up? Is it yours?
Right.
Like, is it even your feeling?
Right.
So thank you for
Because
bringing that.
I really know, say, for example, if I'm having a bad day or whatever, it'll be a trigger of mine, right? Something that'll come up from my past, something that hurt me or whatever. And that's where I have to just basically sit, acknowledge that feeling, release my feelings, whether it be, crying or whatever it is, anger, whatever. And then how I view it for me is then my dominant feeling, which is normally happiness, will come back to where it belongs.
Oh,
Right.
your state of equilibrium. It's your homeostasis,
Yeah.
your
Yeah.
happiness. It is,
Yeah.
isn't it?
Yeah.
Happiness,
Yeah.
love,
Yeah.
connected with ourselves, like not separated.
Right.
That's,
Right. So
yeah,
those, I'm not going to call it, yeah. So, say my sadness or whatever, it will creep up. It's there for a reason. It's there for a
absolutely.
release. It's like an onion, right? You need to shed that onion, right? Whatever it is. And so many of us are taught to hold our feelings in. Don't let anybody know what your feelings are. Sweep everything under the rug, make everything look perfect, right? No, 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 no. That's not me. That's not who I am. I did that for too many years. And where did it get me? It got me an addiction, right? But now I look at my addiction very much as a gift, because if I didn't have that addiction, I would not be where I am today. I would not be talking openly about addiction. I would not be, launching my program here, and my businesses and everything, right? To give people more tools to put in their toolbox. I would have never, ever been able to have that opportunity. So, I am in the presence now of doing God's work. I'm doing service to others, which, I am so thankful and I am so blessed to be able to have that opportunity.
I am too. I was so glad. There's so many people. We do need assistance. We do need help, because I call that, by the way, the lumpy rug syndrome,
The
because if
lumpy bug.
the lumpy rug,
Oh,
because
the
if
lumpy rug.
yeah, you keep sweeping those things under that rug, you are going to trip on one of those lumps.
Oh, you
So
betcha you
lumpy.
are. Yeah.
Yes. And so if a lot, when we start unraveling, when we start going through, if you were to look under that rug, how many times have we swept something under there? And have you ever looked in a closet, there's like the junk closet, and you're like, oh, and you want to close the
Yeah.
door again? Because it's not, sometimes it's nice, you need somebody to help you go through it. There are decisions that, this is such a perfect example. You open that closet, you've been storing stuff, maybe it's a garage even, right? It's big space, lots of garage, and you need it at one point, or you didn't want, or you didn't know what to do with it. And then you finally go, I'm going to go through it all. So you've made the decision, I'm going to go through it. I'm going to quit it. I'm going to look at it. And you look at it and you're like, I actually don't know. I still don't know what to do with this. And we have to choose carefully, like somebody like yourself, who can stand beside us and not tell us, but to ask us questions and to support us with true love, and know how we had to love ourselves to get through it, and maybe the help that we have had. Because
Mhm.
you know what I mean? Like sometimes you look like, but this was so valuable, and that's from my childhood. And do you need like a friend? Maybe like you said, you had to like really change your entire environment, your life, like
Mhm.
people, and maybe your job, work, like everything.
Mhm.
And in that process of, is it letting go, or is it replacing, or is it, I've got this essence of what that was important and why it needed to be in my life, and it no longer holds that value because I have it,
Right.
and now it can go, it can
Yeah.
do its next thing.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's really what it is too. It's mourning the loss of, so many people or whatever in your life that you thought were really there for you or whatever, right? But you've outgrown them. You've raised your vibration that, they serve their purpose for that particular time. And that's great. Or the situation or the environments, right? They serve their purpose. They were there to teach you. And then from there, I've grown from that. Those environments, those situations, those are of my past. They were my next ladder, my next step on that ladder. So now I'm elevating even higher. So now I'm bringing in people that are going to be teaching me things, right, that are going to get me to go that next step on that ladder. And I can see all the people, and I can see the path that I'm going, and I can see, the people that I'm bringing in now, because I'm growing. I'm manifesting. I know where I want to be, and so I have to become that person that I want to be for my end result, but I have to grow into that. And there's stages of growing into that. And this is all part of my journey.
I love that you said the stages, the steps, because we do something called the coherence process. But before jumping into that, what's interesting is if we think I have to become something, and it's just language, I'm being, picky on language. If that's a belief that we think, well, I have to become this person to have this, it has an energy to it, which is like, I really feel that there's more parts of me to shine or grow or to come through. But as soon as if it should happen where you think I have to be that, and it's just not jiving, it's too hard. Maybe it's not the timing, maybe all those things, you're not quite there. We just take that back. This is where we know to do the inquiry a little bit, go back in and inquire, because there might be a step that something is showing up to say, I'm not ready yet. Right, for the step, you're like, I know I have to take that step to get there so I can do this and this, but you're like, why can't I get to that step? I'm growing. Why can't I grow here? And just like if we look at plants and trees analogy and everything, I was doing my little tree back there earlier. He had a few little suckers on him, and I had to snip them off, and and at first you're like, okay, well, this was holding me. That little sucker was taking some nutrients, that maybe he was dehydrated in the branch beside him. So we go back and we think, there's something that's in conflict. What's come up in conflict? And remember you have to remember, but the two kind of conflicts that I always think about is the conflict of I'm not safe and I cannot express myself. It's not safe to be me in this situation. So if I'm being truly who I am and I don't feel safe and I don't feel like I'm expressing myself, this isn't going to happen. This is not a step for me. So we want to just be still and say, okay, there's a conflict. What am I resisting? What am I resisting? And wow, okay, I don't feel safe there. So that's not a step to take. And I don't feel like I can express myself authentically in this situation. So that's not a step that I want to take. So we don't force anything. It's not like you will not have to come up with another choice or decision. You just know that that's not it. And you allow it to go. This next step will appear as long as you keep checking in and just saying, it's okay. It's okay that that's not the way. This I can feel that this isn't it.
And there's also a realization when it comes to conflict, everything has conflict, right? That's just a natural law, right?
Oh, right. Yes.
But conflict, you have to have conflict so you know what you do like and what you don't like. Because if everything comes easy peasy, you're not growing, you're not learning, right? So there always has to be that conflict. And I always find when there's conflict within me, that means that I'm going through a really growth. There's a huge growth. It's just around the corner. Now that I've acknowledged it, now that I see it, oh, I don't like it. Well, you know what? Thank you for being here. Now I'm releasing you and I'm getting what I want. Right?
I love your determination.
Yeah, I'm getting what I want because I know what I don't want. So I have to have both. They have to present themselves to me and to everybody. Right? Yeah. So if you kind of look at it that way, then you can bring in the ease and flow. Thank you, Lord. I'm willing to accept and I'm allowing it into my life. Right?
Yes, allow. That's interesting. That's one of the fun steps along it, because we can get stuck with I won't allow it. We don't know but there's a contrast, a conflict, because like, oh, I know what I don't want. What you were saying, the opposite. What was it? What was the word you used? Did you say contrast?
Contrast? Yeah. Contrast?
Yeah. Oh, conflict.
Conflict.
Yes, okay. Yes. I was like, oh, there's a word there. So if there's a conflict, we won't allow it because there's a conflict. You're like, no, I can't allow this. It's in conflict with what I can do or won't do or will accept and everything. So allowing is like, not even like, it's not even the beginning or the end of this process, but yeah, that allowing is big. We might not even realize that we won't allow something. And we might just think, well, why wouldn't I allow $1 million in my life? Why wouldn't I allow being sober? Why wouldn't I allow having beautiful relationships? And that's not where the conflict is showing up. The conflict is showing up of our beliefs of ourselves. I'm worthy. You knew it. I knew it.
I was just going to say that because that's a paradigm that's stuck within us. Okay. So, when it comes to money, right? How many times did we all hear when we were growing up, money doesn't grow on trees. You have to work so dang hard to get the money, you know what I mean? And so it was always, in order for us to have money in our lives, we were always taught it's a struggle. You have to struggle. You have to work damn hard to get that, right? So that's what's buried deep within our subconscious. which is called a paradigm, right? But if you can totally shift that paradigm to something totally different, and that's what we have to do now, is really look at what our belief systems are. Our belief systems, do they match who we are now? I'll tell you, I can tell you 100%, all those belief systems that I grew up with, I have totally changed them. And I had to become the person that I am today.
And if I may share with you, they'll change again.
Oh, absolutely they will. There's no question.
When you were 5 years old, 10 years old, you believed that there was the belief, I love giraffes. My favorite toy is this is whatever. And it was true for you. That a belief isn't truth. Belief is what you believe because it allows you to be safe and express yourself. Mm-hmm. And a belief is allowing you to have that life that you are aligned with then, and they'll change. So that's one thing I really would hope people, people believe that the thing they reach for to alleviate some pain and some suffering, their belief is true, that it's doing something for them. It's just that it may not be the best thing for them as they grow, as they love themselves more, as they find out who they are and that different alignment. But it just exactly what we said, our beliefs change. Our beliefs are not permanent. Our beliefs
No, they're not. But a lot of people don't see that. And
no.
a lot of beliefs are generational too.
Yes.
It's huge generational. Okay, so I got to tell you a little bit of a story here. So with my mentor, and I do one-on-one with her now. Her name is Kathleen Cameron, and we do one-on-one coaching, and absolutely love the lady, and I'm learning so much from her. And so she was talking about a story that she was told by Bob Proctor, and Bob Proctor is also one of my most favorite mentors out there. And for those of you that don't know who Bob Proctor is, he is one of the world's leading teachers for human development. He is the one that is the main speaker in the movie The Secret. And so if you have not seen the movie The Secret, it's about manifesting, law of attraction, law of vibration, all of that. And he gets into all of it. Anyways, amazing man. I'm so sad he passed away. But so anyways, Kathleen Cameron was also taught by Bob Proctor too, right? And so there's a story that Bob had said, which is a belief system, which is quite funny. So he talks about this little story where, this family gathering, and there's a ham. And it's, like Christmas or Thanksgiving or whatever it is. And so, this woman is watching her mother cut this ham. And she cuts off the ends of the ham. And then she's seen this for years and years and years, and she sticks it in and she roasts it. And then finally, she says to her mother, after how many years, why do you cut the ends of the ham off? And she goes, I don't know. We've just been told to. Anyways, it just so happened, that the grandmother is there. And so the mother asked the grandmother, so why do we cut the ends of the ham off? She goes, oh, well, back in my day, we didn't have roasters big enough for our ham. So what we did is we just cut the ends of the ham off.
Oh, my goodness.
So this is a belief system that went on for like generation after generation after generation. So this is one little specific tidbit about belief system.
Perfect story.
Yeah, right?
That is such a perfect story.
It was like, well, that don't make sense anymore. Like, we're cutting off these hams, the ends, when we could be eating them. And look at how many of these other belief systems that we can look at our own childhood and we can be like, bingo, they're outdated. They don't serve us anymore.
I'm going to think about that.
Isn't that an amazing story?
It is. I'm going to use it. It's so brilliant. It is. It was a functionality.
Yeah.
So how do we function in this world condition, this state, this whatever set of circumstances? Well, we cut the ends off the ham. Now it fits. So our world really will give us so many so much feedback of, say, well, we're doing this because of this. Well, we're doing this because of this. And it's like, I might live in a colder climate than somebody else. So I'm wearing warmer clothes than somebody because I'm cold. But then does that mean I really love flannel and, fuzzy wuzzies? Well, maybe. But if I was in a super hot climate, then I wouldn't. You know what I mean? So there's these environmental conditions that we get, we just get attached to. We get attached to them and they become habits. And then, like you said, we don't question. So when we do stop to question, like the hamster is so good. When we question, okay, wait, why are we cutting the ends of these ham off? Like, what? I was waiting for you to say like they donated them or gave them away or something, but it was really.
Yeah, no, seriously, right? So you could probably, like I said, you could probably look back in your life and, well, why do you do this? Well, everybody else does this. Okay, well, this just doesn't make sense to me anymore. Like, I'm not going to do this. But if you but if you decide that you're going to make your own belief systems, then people kind of look at you like, what's she doing? Like, why is she doing? You know what I mean? Like, so that's kind of where with me, so this is a belief system that I have instilled in myself. I'm going to give you another example. So everybody knows out there that I have, addiction to alcohol. I absolutely refused to say and speak out loud now that I am an alcoholic. That to me, we all know are the most powerful words out there, right? So I will refuse to say I am an alcoholic because it also carries a vibration to it. And it also carries shame, lack of self-worth, takes me back to that time when in my past. So what I now say is I am someone that is alcohol free. Now listen to it. I am an alcoholic. I am someone that is alcohol free or free from alcohol. You can feel the difference in the energies. You can feel that within, like I feel it in my body right away. I am alcohol free or I am free from alcohol. There's so much ease and flows to it. But when I say the other, that's harshness. It's like I'm walking into a brick wall. But I know that, for example, me going to AA, that was a tool that I put in my toolbox. Me going to treatment, that was a tool that I put in my toolbox. They were set there for that particular time. But I know now that AA didn't work for me. AA was just, I took what I could get from it, and that was great. But you know what? I know that there's so much more to it than that. My belief system now is that I had to change my identity. I had to change how I look about myself. I have to change the frequency and the vibration within me. I have to see that end result of me being happy, strong, vibrant, which is alcohol free. And once I could actually visualize that individual and see me as that person, then I could become it. You have to see it first. And I could not see that walking into an environment where I constantly had to say, I am an alcoholic. How could I vision that? Because I was constantly reminding myself of my past. So that's a belief system that I totally changed within inside me. And that's what I'm teaching others, right? Yeah, like it's huge. And it's so powerful. It's beyond powerful.
Self-love. I mean, love.
Absolutely.
Not love is powerful.
Yeah.
And in what you said that I'll make your life a little even easier is when you see it, you don't need to see it to become it. When you see it, you are it. And that's
absolutely.
That's what I
99%, it's already there. 99% of your thought, it's already there. It is there. Now you've got that time in between, which is the experiences. Yes. And then because it's already there.
Yes, that is the most important thing. There's no lack and there's no scarcity, and then there's abundance. It's not either or. No. It is abundance. It is all. It is you. You are beyond perfection. There's not even, you can't even judge it because that's one what I want to come to, because when you say, if you have to make a statement that is not true, I am an alcoholic. I am anything. It could be, I am rich. It could be, if it's not, like you said about frequency, right? If it doesn't resonate, it's a conflict. It's showing you there's resistance here. Yeah. It's basically a lie to you. It's not true. It's not your belief. It's right. It's against it. And so you will always be held back. And so you recognize this. You're like, I'm being held back by that, by shame, by a trigger, by a memory. And this is, I'm not going to say that. And you found something. You met yourself where you're at in the place of love, that you're like, I am alcohol free. I am free up freedom. The word freedom. Freedom is safe. I'm safe. I'm free. I'm safe. Woo. Oh, what was that game you play when you're little? You do something and you go home free or safe or something. I can't remember. There's a game.
And the thing is, it doesn't matter what you say, I am, whatever it is, you will become that no matter what. If you say it over and over and over, you actually become that and you believe that.
Okay, I might not go with that one, but that's okay. I do. You can be conditioned and programmed and trained if it gets in to do that. Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's what that is what I'm saying.
Okay,
right?
gotcha. Yes. Because we are assuming and taking on these beliefs.
Yes.
And that's where once you do see yourself, when you see yourself and recognize yourself as love, all those false beliefs and assumptions and programs, they dissolve. And that's where you're able to, like you standing in your beautiful power like this right now, you're shining and you have clarity and you're able to be there with effortless strength for others. And you're so excited. You're so excited to help others. You're like, help them exactly. To get through this.
And then, of course, once you have that belief instilled within you, that's where the vibration goes out, and that's what you are, what you attract, right? So it's all, and a lot of people don't understand that, but you guys will once you start listening to me all the time. That's so funny. My son yesterday, we're having a little discussion about whatever, and he's like, yeah, and he goes, and I don't want to hear about your vibration stuff either. And I'm like, okay, but it works. I'm telling you, it's the truth here, buddy. But yeah, he was in a little downer mood yesterday. So,
and that's okay. You know what's so interesting is that, like, there are some people in our lives who are going to stay like your children, right? And they're no matter what they're going through, and they're going to witness this and see you go through and see the changes that are happening around you as you take those steps to love yourself and reconnect with yourself and not be so disconnected with yourself through all these other beliefs and assumptions, and try to things like we try to do these. I was just gonna go back to like maybe it was high school, maybe it was wherever you are, and everybody else is smoking. So then, you feel that pressure, like, I want to be accepted. I want to fit in, and whatever. It could be anything. It could be spending a certain amount of money on high-end clothes or shoes because, you feel like, I don't want to have this, because everybody else has that. And it comes right back to safety again. But when you do know yourself and you love yourself, you feel accepted all the time.
Yeah.
Because like that's it.
Off. The pressure is off because it's just like, hey, it's okay. You're okay with other people's opinions. You're okay with this. And it's just kind of like, yeah, you can see both sides. You can see both perspectives, I think is what it is. Right.
We're all going through the exact same thing, but through our lens. It's the exact same thing. So yeah. It's like what you said, and the pressure being off, like somebody else is going to have their opinion and views, and then you're going to have yours, and you're both right for you based on your beliefs. That's why the fun part is when you do love yourself, you become not sticky. Somebody else could have their little opinion and or belief thrown at you, and you're like, that's where you are, and that's wonderful. It's not where I am, and that's that. And then you just on you go with love. There you go.
Yeah, that's so true. That's so true. Oh my gosh, Lisa, this has been such an excellent conversation. And we got a little bit off track, and but this was supposed to be about your stillness, and then we just got on this.
I felt like it was. I felt like it was,
which is great. So this is what was supposed to come out for our audience to hear, and I totally get that, and I understand that. But with this whole conversation, what we've had, what is it that you've learned throughout your whole process of stillness?
Oh, stillness. I love stillness. The one biggest human physical thing that I didn't want to do, and I didn't know that I didn't want to do it, and I would really fight back about, no, I don't need to do that, is when I was uncomfortable, is to sit with it and just ask about it without judgment and not run from it. Getting I used to always say, I'm so uncomfortable with being uncomfortable. Like it's like, so I would do my bazillion other things, whatever little habit or thing that I picked up, or what would I do to run away or hide or disguise or just be. But now I'm just like, hey, this is a moment that I get to learn about. I get to know who I am about this. And I would start asking, it's self-inquiry. And I would say, wow, I'm having some uncomfortableness and I want to spin. There's no stillness right now. So I would then say, okay, so what's coming up? With love though, and not judgment. And I would say to myself, like a little kid, you can share with me. I'm here for you. It's no judgment. Just, what would you like? What's coming up for you? And whatever it is, I would just say, it's okay. It's okay. Here it is. This is okay. And that's the only place I could start. Now it's been a while, so I have a few other tricks up my sleeve for self-love, but that was the biggest one, is to not run and not immediately try to cover it up. Don't let somebody see that under the rug, lumpy rug syndrome. Right. And so that was like my biggest thing that's ever helped me. I think that was my starting point, my foundation.
Right. That's beautiful. That's beautiful. So what is it that you want people to know about this whole stillness?
It's so beautiful. I think my number one thing is, because I am a hyper high energy person, is that stillness is a place where healing occurs, and stillness is a place where love can actually be felt in its entirety. Love doesn't need to grow. Love doesn't expand. It just needs to be felt. We separate ourselves from love. And I think stillness is a place that we can connect and receive that love. It's
Oh, that was so okay. That
I
actually,
couldn't repeat that.
I know that actually just, yeah, I could feel when you said that.
No, I think I did too. Thank you for asking. See,
That
this
was
is what's
so, that was
beautiful.
so beautiful. Yeah, very, very nice. So okay, so I want the audience to know what is it that you do? I want you to talk a little bit about yourself here.
Oh, great. As the sun beams in, I
Yes.
was kind of laughing at that.
You are shining now, Lisa Berry.
It's like glowing now.
Yeah.
I
Because
would love.
you carry so much information within you that so many people out in this world need to know. And all the information that you give me for the audience members, so they know, will all be in the notes of the podcast. So go.
So if I miss anything, it'll be there.
It'll be there. It'll be there.
The most important thing I think I would love to share with people about myself is that my biggest, my struggle, my calling was to work with people and their relationships with fill in the blank, with food. I'm a holistic nutritionist. So that was my starting point. But it wasn't just about food. It was with their bodies. It was with their mindset. It was with their lifestyle. Lifestyle love stories is a small little thing I like to bring into everything I do. And I've brought everything I do under the umbrella of Om School. And so Om School, one of my favorite words.
I love that. Om School.
Get it? You get it. Homeschool, Om School. It was just so perfect.
I just love that. I love that. When you said that to me before, I just thought, oh my goodness, that's like the best name ever.
I fell in love with it when I woke up with a dream of it. And so I have a business partner, but he's a master spiritual teacher, GP Walsh, and we run Om School together. He's actually my master teacher, he helps me through everything, but we get to run a fabulous business together. It's beyond a calling. I would have never have thought that I would, as a holistic nutritionist and life coach and all that good stuff, I get to bring that into it because it's our lifestyle. It's our lifestyle love story. It's how we live. But to be able to truly to be able to help people, and our tagline, our line we say is to end suffering and be happy. Mm-hmm. And it's possible for every single one of us. So mm-hmm. when I talk about myself, I suffer on. Do you know what suffering is? I'll share this. Suffering is when we want something to be different than what it is. That is suffering. So we're all suffering on some degree to some point in some area. So if we are constantly having this restriction against something and I want to be something different, I want something else, then the happiness, it's being blocked. And so I have lots of suffering, just like everybody else. I maybe wouldn't use that word before. I'd be like, I just don't like it, or it's an inconvenience, or it's a goal or a struggle. But now when I really sit with it, and that's what I invite people to do with us, and what I would like people to know about myself. I have struggles too. We all have suffering, but now I know how to sit with it, to offer the stillness. And sometimes I screw up too. Sometimes I can't do this on my own. I need help. And so then, I'll talk to GP or whomever, even yourself. Right now, you have offered me some things sitting here, right here. I can feel it. I can feel this safe space, this love that just allows, and it can end some suffering because we're able to feel that love.
And to some degree, we definitely have control over our suffering, because I'm going to give you an example, right?
I like your examples.
So I have not watched news. It was a year in February. And the reason I don't watch the news is because why do I want to take on other people's pain in the world? I can't do anything about it. And so my husband would come home when the war was happening between Ukraine and Russia, when it first started happening. And I'd be doing whatever, and he'd be having his lunch, and he would be watching the news, and he would be like, oh, 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 and he is such a compassionate and very sensitive individual. And I would look at him and I'm like, what are you doing to yourself? Like, why are you watching this when, it's just causing you so much pain and anguish and sadness? He's like, oh, I just can't believe this is happening. And I said, it's really sad. It's sad. But war has been happening for thousands and thousands and thousands of years. The only difference between now and then is because we can actually bring it into our household with television. It's always been there. And I said, it's really sad. And it was at that moment, and I think it was probably about the second or third day that it was into the war. And I was like, I am absolutely done. So I have not listened to news at all since then. And I can tell you, that's where I look at my control of suffering. I don't have to see it anymore. I don't have to hear it anymore. And I'll tell you, I will be honest, there'll be every once in a while, not very often, I'll walk into the kitchen or wherever where my husband, and he's got whatever on, and I'll hear the news, and I have got, like, I'm a earplug girl, and it's like, oh, you know what? I go put my earplugs in, and then I will continue doing whatever in the kitchen so I don't have to hear what's going on, because I cannot believe, just as soon as I hear the news, whoa, like, I'll tell you, the sadness and the level of my energy just shoots right down to the floor, and yeah, I will not subject myself to that. I've got so many other things in this world that I'm dealing with on an individual basis. I don't need to hear about everything else that's happening in the world, right? It's so that's where we do have control of what we want to are suffering. So that was just another little example.
A lot of people feel that way, and there's so you're looking like, well, I'm not going to torture myself, like I can't do anything about this. And whereas your husband may be coming from a different place where maybe he's tuning into an area where he's able, what we can do is soften our hearts and offer love where we can.
We can.
If I do this, when things come to a certain point, I'm just like, whoops, no, nope, not doing that, not hearing it. And we all know. And I love that you were able to honor yourself and recognize that. You're like, that's torturous to me. That is not for me.
Yeah.
And if your husband is like going through so much, he might witness you and go, wow, yeah, maybe I don't need to put myself through this so much, or maybe there's a level, maybe, we all lead, we can be leaders, we can be an example. And as long as everybody's just, that's where that self-inquiry comes from, tuning into ourselves and go, okay, where is this for me? Where is my beliefs around this? What can I handle? Where am I at? So we can meet ourselves with the love that's needed to get to that next step.
Mm-hmm. And I also know too, and strongly believe that whatever I am to know on the outside world, it's going to come to me.
It will come. It will.
What? Whether someone tells me, or, I get a letter, I get an email, whatever, anything on the outside world, if it's that important that the divine is giving me signs or is telling me you need to know this, well, I'm going to get it no matter what, and yeah. This was so fun, Lisa. God, I love this conversation. So what are your final words, my dear?
No words on this. I feel like, I want to bring it around to that spinning to stillness, but I feel complete with that. And I think if all the listeners and viewers who are going to participate in, and not just this episode, but all of them, you have such a beautiful, I want to call it a summit, like this beautiful gathering of people here to share, is if we can check in with ourselves and just say, do I feel safe? Am I safe to be who I am? Be truly who I am? Am I expressing myself with such authenticity that I feel stillness in me, then that's a beautiful place to be. And if you're not and you don't feel it, then be with that. Just sit with it. You don't need to fix that. You don't need to correct it. You don't need to, it's sitting with it. It's sitting with it and just giving it love and just saying it's okay that you're feeling this way. There's a reason, there's a thing, there's a belief around this assumption. And you'll get there. It will unravel. Just like you said, it will find its way to me if I'm needed. Just sit with it, just in awareness to it. And I want to say I promise, but you know what I mean? Like things will unravel exactly as they will with the awareness of it. But if we don't sit with it, if we don't give it the time, we'll never hear it. We'll never get to look and see what's going on, and we'll live on that conditions and programs and patterns and never know. And who knows where any addiction is coming from if we don't sit and look and see where that's
Exactly. And it's really looking into yourself and actually just letting go and honoring yourself. Like, earlier, when I, started crying or whatever, me releasing what I needed to release there, I'm fine with that. But that's also me honoring my feelings, honoring letting go, right?
feeling safe to do so.
Whatever, and I have enough confidence in myself that it doesn't matter where I am. If I decide that I have to shed that tear or whatever, it's not only for me, but I also know that it is for whoever is around me or whoever is listening to me, that for them, I'm put in their space. I am put in their energy so they can see that it is okay to honor themselves also. It's kind of like a ripple effect.
You're leading and you're shining, you're being there as, yes, it's beautiful. That's like, I feel the same way. That's
yeah, absolutely. So, and it's all divine timing, right?
Yes.
So, well, I want to say thank you very, very much, Lisa, for sharing your energy and your space with me and really being a part of my journey, because we are changing people's lives on a daily basis. And I am so honored to have you in my presence for sure. So thank you so much.
So am I. Thank you. My huge gratitude from my heart. Thank you so much. And thank you, everybody, being a part of this. Thank you.
Thank you.